closer. Come on in.
Hi.
Hi. We're going to make hummingbirds today.
This is exciting.
2D.
Very cool.
2D. I feel like this is very sophisticated.
We are. It is.
I don't think we should make tasteless jokes.
There aren't really any hummingbird jokes out there.
I feel like we should have classical music.
Maybe.
I feel like we should have a live orchestra.
That would be nice.
That would be very nice.
That might be over budget. Do we have a budget?
Antonio plays the saxophone.
Yes.
Somebody plays strings. Tori plays the flute.
Nice.
These are Jennifer's kids. Anyway, we have been having a lot of fun pulling this tutorial together, and we have several wet felting tutorials, but this is really our first full-on finished image with supply pack wet felting tutorial. This is our first supply pack wet felting tutorial.
Yes.
So it started when, I don't remember why, but I made this, which is pretty big. It's like more like 30 inches by 30 inches. And then we had a great response to it and realized that we actually could make a supply pack. So I have made several since then. Kyla made one with me, Nick at Sassy made one with me. I taught it as a workshop, so we really have it well planned and figured out. I say that, but you'll see once we start the tutorial we'll see how well planned it is. The supply pack is, it's a big one. It's about somewhere between 9 and 10 ounces. It's going to vary a little bit. And this piece here was made exactly with the supply pack. The piece that I just held up, sorry Milo, had some other fibers, some silk ribbon, some hand spun yarn. So this one is made from exactly what is in there. So it is a 22-inch sort of canvas of flat mat, lots of merino in all sorts of colors, silk, and then we are house dyeing the silk hankies that make the flowers and the leaves, and we are also dyeing all the locks, and you're getting like 4 different colorways of locks to play with. So it's a lot of fun. I would say it's doable for a beginner even.
Yeah. Try it. Don't be scared of wet felting.
Yeah, don't be scared of wet felting, and don't be scared of the colors and the image and the you know, the whole process. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like, it's a very playful process. In the supply pack also is a drawing that has this silhouette, this particular silhouette, sketched out so to the size that we want to use, so you can cut it out and get your drawing pretty accurate.
Foolproof.
And then at the very end, just to make everything pop and, you know, refine some details, we do a little bit of needle felting. But really most of it is wet felted. You would need a wet felting kit. We have 2 sizes. This needs the large one, and that consists of a heavyweight bubble, like it's pool cover, but it's like a very durable, looks like bubble wrap. We use a pool noodle. We use bathing suit material ties. It's a very pool themed kit, but it is wet, so that makes sense, I guess. And then we use fabric voile, just that's what sort of holds your piece down. You'll see as we go through it. So we're going to switch the camera angle, show you the layout and the process. Ready?
Yep.
Let's go. Shall I commence?
Yes.
Let's go. Okay. This is fun.
That's a bag of beauty.
Goodness. I would like to advise you to set your stuff up like so. First, take it out. You'll have a distinct bundle, that's good. You will have your drawing, which you can cut out, and flat mat. Your locks just set aside. This is what you're going to use first. Then divide all your merinos and silks up into silk. There's 4 silks plus the hankies. Whoops. 5.
Yep.
Yes. And then your merinos are divided up into darks, bitter chocolate. Oh, we did use tartan. Bitter chocolate, tartan, eggplant.
I believe so.
And then these are going to be a bunch of things that I don't know because they're new. So I'm not even going to attempt to name them. But you have midtones, which are these 3. So for each dark, medium, and light, one way to think of it is you have a tone of brown, a tone of purple, and a tone of green. So that's your darks, your mediums, and your lights. And then these are your brights. This is all your pop of color. So that's how you're going to set that up. Hankies and silk and locks. So we're going to open flat mat. It's a square, so it doesn't matter which way it goes. And then with either your fingers, or if you have a dog brush or a little like dopper brush or carding brush, you just want to lift the fiber up on flat mat. Flat mat's great because it's this nice stable surface, gives you a great start. We used flat mat in our wet felting tutorial for the pillows and what did we call that one? Do you remember?
What felting and it was the beaded embellishment.
Yeah. It's nice to find from the original project. I did have an inspirational photo, so it's nice to find something like that. I'm just going to go through, kind of based on practice, my layout at this point. But I did notice in all of the teaching that we did between the workshops and the run-throughs that it really comes together. Because the colors, we've already picked the colors, they all work well together. And it's come together beautifully for everyone. So you have a light, a medium, and a dark in white, gray, and black. And you have the most of this wool because this is going to be our first layer. We want to entirely cover flat mat so that no off-white is showing, so that when we put these other beautiful colors on, they are going to be set off by the 3 merinos that are underneath it. And we're going to put dark where we're going to have darker tones, medium and light in the right places, because if our wool felts a little tight and it becomes exposed underneath, then just darkness will be exposed, and that's good. So I'm going to start with the black. When you pull roving for wet felting, you want to just grab these very tips. Don't grab all the way down here, just the tips, and pull. And that gives you a really nice, almost like a paintbrush stroke. And I'm going to use a crisscross process to start covering my canvas. I'm just going to call it canvas. With the dark, I might want a little more dark towards the bottom than the top. And you're sort of creating a vignette. So I'm going to start at the corners and work my way inward. Oh, I did want to say, take like a handful, like 4 to 6 inches, and just set it aside. Because there are some places that you might want some black, the eye, the beak, maybe to rim some details later. So it's good to save that out. So I'm going to be not a perfect vignette, like not a perfect bullseye of light to dark. I want to have a little bit of interest in my layout that's a little irregular. And I am trying to get right to the edges with it. The side that you grab is going to have, see, this has a very wispy end. The side that you grab is going to have a more blunt end, so it helps to put that towards the edge.
So you're kind of flipping it around before you put it down.
I am, so that harder edge is near, so I don't have a bunch of wispy stuff coming. It just depends on, like if I'm going here, I can put it this way. If I'm going over here, I gotta go this way. So like I said, I'm thinking a little irregularly, maybe a little more dark at the bottom. I'm gonna stop there and switch. I still have a little bit of black, but I'm just gonna switch to the gray. And then see what I want to do. Now this, you can use the wisp to your advantage to blend. So sort of wispy edges versus hard edges. It is always a great idea to watch the tutorial through and then start, because you are just going to have a much better roadmap of what your intentions are and where you're headed. What are your intentions with my wet felting kit? So I'm just keeping this. We're suggesting, ultimately we're going to be suggesting foliage, and this is like a close up, as if someone had, fancy camera and zoomed way in, because the hummingbird's going to be huge. So it's kind of fun. It's like peeking into their little world. I have a little bit of a bald spot down here. I'm going to put it in black. You can finish out all the edges with the gray. You really want this just to be a layer. You don't want it to be much more than, an overlapping layer, because it'll get a little thick, a little busy, yeah. All right, I'm going to switch to the white. Oh, this is so nice. Oh my gosh, it's so soft. The white is like distant light that we're peeking through the plants. So our little hummingbird is kind of backlit by this light. So hopefully you can see how I didn't make a perfect, a perfect circle. The more even and thin that you can pull this, sort of the smoother your transitions and your piece is going to look at this point. I have a couple spots I need a little. How's that look from up there?
Fantastic. You found one spot there that I could see. The one you just put down.
Good. Okay. This is like this would be like an underpainting almost, except even though we don't have our hummingbird in there yet. We can take our cutout hummingbird and start to see where it wants to go. I like it a little bit higher than center. Like I usually put a flower up here, and his angle is up to you, really. I think it looks good with his head either straight or just angled up just a little bit. And then under the hummingbird, I could put some gray, just because the hummingbird is going to be darker than light. So we could put a little bit of gray. That helps us kind of think about where he is in the space. Okay, next step. Move that there. I should give you guys the visual. Is to take our darks. We have, excluding the black at the moment, we have the 3 darks. And if you crisscross these in the dark space, I don't know, do you want to like, is it a big pain to change camera angle? But like, if you crisscross these 3 colors, you really get a pretty, it just becomes this like dark, neutral almost, because you're blending colors. And it suggests the colors that are in the flowers and the foliage. So nice and thin blends it. You can even blend the colors together in your hand. I haven't been doing that because I feel like it looks really interesting when you let just that wisp kind of cover one of the other ones. Isn't that pretty?
You really end up covering a lot of the black.
You're kind of right now with these 3 darks covering the black. Let's see what happens just for kicks. Just spend a minute seeing what happens if we blend the 3 together. It's a lot faster to let the wet felting do the blending but just by layering. But maybe there's a spot where you want a more solid color. Because we will end up doing this a little bit with some of the other colors. You could use hand carders. Yeah, it's so pretty. And I love for things to not be just black. Like, I do it in my painting too. I rarely use black. But that takes forever. So, I'm going back to while I have the purple in my hand, I'm just going to bop it around. And then I'll put the green here and there, and then the brown. Really thin. I can't stress enough this technique of just pulling wispy, just grabbing the tips and getting these washes.
Won't look as good if it's all chunky.
It does not look as good when it's chunky, and with the wet felting, what it looks like is really what you're going to get. So if you've got a big stripe or chunk, that's what it's going to look like when it's felted. So I've nothing definitive yet, no definitive shapes. I can also, in your kit, is a couple of dark silks. So it would look really pretty to get some of those dark silks into the darkness.
Silk can be tricky to work with.
Yeah, this mulberry silk is so wonderful. It is very long and straight, so it can look a little linear if you don't bust it up. And the brown that I'm working with is a little bit different than the brown that you're going to have, because we ordered something special, but it's just not here yet. But it will be a nice chocolatey dark brown. The silk like adds a little shine and a little different texture in there. Alrighty, I'm not going to put this everywhere necessarily, just here and there. I felt like in a couple of my pieces it got a little dark, so I'm trying to keep it, work more of the medium colors in than the dark. So this is a little thin right here, but it can become a medium tone. I do want to make sure that I get it a little bit more covered up. So your midtones are these three, and these are going to go pretty much wherever you have a leaf or these are kind of like still the plants and the foliage, and then the light is what's in the distance. This could also go under the hummingbird, but we really do our hummingbird in more detail later. So I'm going to use them similarly to the way I used the darks in just kind of a bit of a layering process. And I'm also visualizing, I've been doing 3 flowers and 3 leaves. 3 is just a nice number. Odd numbers are good in composition. So your leaves, it's good to maybe visualize where your leaf is going to go. So maybe I'll have one over here and then maybe put some green there. So that way the leaf and the flowers are made with silk hankies. So now there's a little bit of the tone of the color that's going to be underneath the hanky. And I think I'll put one here. I'm going to let it come up, hopefully under his tail, and have a point kind of coming this way. And then I'll have one coming down. Just the tip of it, maybe like that. So again, right now this is a little random, obscure. You don't really know what's what yet. But we'll work silk and locks and silk hankies into all of this. Little neutral here and there is good because it lets the poppy colors pop.
And by poppy, you mean bright, not actually poppy.
Popping, yeah, pop. Colorful colors.
Don't we have a poppy?
A poppy what?
Color.
Oh, probably. I've lost track. I gotta say, I've lost track. Okay, I'm not going to go too crazy because I want to start to see where my flowers are going to be, where I think I'll let some light come out there. Oh, I won't go super light. We'll go just. I want to see where my flowers are going to be. I want to see. I want to start working some dark locks into these colors. In your locks, one of the. Let me see if I can show this real quick. So people can see what they're working with. Okay, you have a succulent colored batch, which is a little, it'll have pops of color, it'll have neutrals. It's beautiful. You have your brighter pinks and purples. You have your aquas. Ooh, look at, geez, there's some. So the idea is to give you something to play with, whether it's for the hummingbird or the flowers. And you have your darks. Oh, this is like your blues and oceans, and then this is your darks. It'll have kind of like vineyard. It'll have some teals, purples, green, and maybe a little bit of brown. How's that?
Oh, good. good. So then it's just a lot of fun sort of working. The locks give a different texture. They can break up a spot that maybe is a little boring. You can throw a lock in there. I would try to, they'll felt better if you at least separate the little cut end a little bit. Give it something to grab onto. And some of them can stick right into the lights, although we do want to get some lights on here so that as we build onto this, the lights are already in the back there. So I think I'll do that next, but I did just want to show you these and what you can do with them. You can totally fuzz them out just to be all texture, or you can leave them blocky to represent like a vine or a leaf. Okay, I'm going to move this for a second because I want to use my 3 lights to lay in the rest of my basically background before I put the birds and the flowers on. So this works kind of the same way. I'm a little random to start. And then I will firm up some details once I know where I want stuff to go. I love this, I don't remember what this color's called, but it just looks like sunlight. Like it just looks like warm and glowing, I guess. So I'm putting this in because I do want some of my dark blocks to come right onto this lightness to get a little contrast going there. The reason I'm using 3 complementary colors instead of just white, and I'll do some more, you'll see, to the background once I have my bird in. Probably it really looks nice to put some aqua, is because that's just, it's what's happening back here is random. Like it's not, you don't know. So it's like it becomes this faded, blurry background that you don't totally understand what it is. And that's exactly what we want. So things that make things recede in space are softer edges, more muted colors, and less contrast. And things that make your subject matter pop or look closer are harder edges, high contrast, and brighter colors. So there is little compositional theory going on here. All right, that's good enough for now. At least I've got it in there. Well, and you pulled most of the time more than one color.
Yeah, I was
together.
pulling a few colors at a time. So fancy, so advanced. So now I can take a lock, and if I set that there, that's cool. Like that will pop off of that light background. And then you are really going to get into, you're just going to have a good time getting into some little details.
Is it a good idea to put a little fiber on the base of the lock to hold it down?
You either want your locks teased out or like kind of tucked in to something. All right, next we're going to get our flowers and leaves on here. That will then give us our direction. It's just the next step. Oh, that is so pretty.
That lock went from the floor to the
5-second rule.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean that. I mean it could have been just forgotten and now it's.
So your hankies, they might look a little different than these, but they're all going to be, we're going to dye them to get some variation. And I want to think about, this is always a disaster. This one's nice and light. So if I have a leaf that I want to be lit by the sun, I'll use this one. This edge also is awesome as the hummingbird belly. So I think what I'll do is get this a little more broken down. This is actually 2 or 3 hankies. And I'll use one as a sunlit leaf, which I think I want to be this one. Oh my gosh, let go. And I'm just going to pull it. I'm just going to pull it into a pointy leaf shape. And you don't have to use the whole thing. So I'm letting this light spot come up. And it gets a little darker as it comes down. It's got that nice light edge there. And then I'm going to tuck some fiber in on it. So I'll take my medium green, kind of put that down here, like maybe this part is in shadow. And then the sun hits it up here, it's part of my reach. So I've got this nice bright green that I can work onto this part of the leaf.
Really thin.
Yes, very thin. Just needs to hold it. You want the silk to do its magic. So if I put too much wool on top, you won't get the effect of the silk. But I love that nice bright edge. And to make that nice bright edge pop, instead of it being super light against super light, I'll probably put some aqua there. But I'm going to hold off on aqua until I know where everything is. This leaf, I think these other 2 leaves I want to have in shadow. So I'm going to take this darker hanky.
You'll probably have extra hankies,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Yeah, plenty.
Get them nice and thin. If you have any dry skin, you'll know it.
Oh my gosh. So I want this point coming towards the bird. So this one, the tail is going to overlap. You do want some things overlapping. You don't want everything just spread out without touching. That would look unnatural. This one I don't think I want to overlap. And I'm going to get a little darkness down here. Go really dark back here. So it just is kind of emerging from the darkness. Blend some colors together. Oh my gosh.
Don't do this with the wind blowing through your open windows.
Yeah.
Little tip.
Get a nice dark line. I don't know why, it just hit me. Okay, 3rd leaf. I've got a Jonathan Richman song stuck in my head right now. It's called Let Her Go Into the Darkness. And it's about a girl he likes being with the wrong guy.
Well, that's not cool.
He's got to let her go. Ooh, that's so pretty. I want that shiny edge right there. I don't know what it's going to look like felted, but we'll try it. I think if I put some dark under it, maybe it'll pop more. Ooh, yeah. What you think about that?
I think it's already starting to look like something.
Oh, it's so pretty. So much fun. Oh my gosh. Just have fun playing with it. Okay, flowers, flowers, flowers. Alright, I got some rather dark hankies here. But I love the way this one has that pop of bright purple in it. We had a lot of fun playing with the shapes of these. So you can bunch it up and make like a little bud. If you just crinkle it, it'll look like a random flower. If you can cone shape it, and then you get all these fun edges. So that's kind of cool. And the hummingbirds do like some cone shaped flowers. So depending on the tone of your hankies, you can tone it either more towards poppy or pink or purple with the brights. I want to get a nice dark going down in here because this one's on the dark side. So I'm going to use my purples and just tuck it in there. I'm going to put a little bit on the end here. And then I'm going to tuck some into the flower so that it felts down in there. I'm just kind of tucking it into those folds that I created. And then a little bit of pink at the top. So that should be interesting. Let's make a bud. I think sometimes I put 2 flowers up here and 1 down here, but I think I want my other 2 flowers kind of low maybe. This is pretty thick, but I'm just gonna, there's a big void here, so I'm gonna bunch it up into a bud right here. And I think I'll put a little bit of pink underneath where the silk hanky is gonna go. So I've already got some color, similar color happening.
So you're sort of squinching it up.
Mm-hmm. Trying to keep they have such a beautiful edge, so I'm trying to keep the edge visible and most of the squinching in the center. And then I'll put a nice dark purple in there so it looks deep. And then I'm going to see if we have a lighter hanky. I strayed from my kit because I think your hankies are going to look a little bit more like this. So I want to show a lighter flower. So this has that coral to purple that is so pretty. And then you can kind of accentuate it one way or another. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. And then I'm going to do one here. And I really like that color change in there and how bright that is. Maybe I'll switch. I think I'm going to switch these. You think I can do it without totally immersing it all up? Boop. I like that better. I'll put the darkness over here. I would rather have the hummingbird facing the light. Go into the light. So put a little coral right in the center there just to match that color that's in there. And a little bit of this bright pink out on the edges. So little.
Wispy little bits.
Little bits. And what's fun is you can find a lock that you love So it could either be a similar color or a contrasting color. And then your lock, sorry if I'm in the way.
Great view of the top of your
I
head.
know. Then your lock, ooh, look at that one. Your lock can come out of the center of the flower. So pretty. I think that'll felt. So this is just so cool. Like it's not literal, it's not rocket science, it's playful. And check that I like where my hummingbird is going. So I like that there's some overlap. Now I mentioned popping this off. So now my job now is to kind of, and I probably won't film like everything because it's just probably about a half an hour of playing with locks and silk and getting more interesting things happening in here. So I can have some locks. I really like the succulents. I'm not making full sentences. The succulents are great for popping out of, like popping out from behind leaves. Just texture stuff up. This is a little kind of dead space here, so I can even take an edge of silk. I'm going to save a little bit of this for my hummingbird's throat, but snips or fabric scissors are a great thing to have around on this project. But I can take a dark edge. Actually, maybe I'll do that down here. So kind of like, not necessarily a flower, but just some dark color down there. Just something different. So that's a possibility. The locks are possibilities, and then a little bit more of your silk. Some silk into the lights is beautiful. Just real thin. You might even need to put a little bit of merino over it. And so in terms of the background, I'm going to think about what's going to make these things pop forward. So I want a little bit of darkness here. I'm going to take my brighter aqua, my silk, and my light from my green and make a little blend, little background blend. I need some music. I'm
green
tired
silk.
of my own voice.
Green silk, well, that light silk.
Light? Yeah, that, what's it called?
It's just pretty.
It's so pretty. The aqua's beautiful, and the aqua pure actually looks pretty amazing in a few places, but I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. But it is like, it really pops back there and can set off some other things that need to be
It's a nice blend, the aqua and that.
set forward. The screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just tones the aqua down a little bit and lightens it up in value a little bit. And then this is so stringy, it's hard to get blended. All right, now this I want to put in a few places. Definitely want it right here. I usually like it coming off the chest of the hummingbird. I'm gonna go ahead and put it now. I might need to redo it once I get my bird in there. And then just because 3s is good, we'll put some up here.
Oh, that looks nice next to the flower.
Cool. And get lightness back here.
So if you're a person that has really hard time making decisions, try to get over that, because you got to make some decisions.
This is so pretty, this stuff. It's a tussa silk. It has a lot of warmth in it. So I'm not, there's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm just making sure it's in here because it's beautiful. Same thing with this silk. I just want to put it in everything for no reason. And these two together, so now you've got the warm and the cool together. Look out. So strong. It's very long and strong. If you want to put it in kind of a smaller area, you can cut it. Helps blend it a little better too. Okay. So I'm thinking about lights and darks, and like I said, I wanted this leaf light, but since I did that, I probably should have a little dark for it to pop off of, so that there's some contrast. And then maybe a few dark locks coming out of there. At this point in, working with Kyla and Nick and Sassy, or my my class that I had, everybody's pretty much just, nobody's talking like I am. Everybody's just,
Focus.
sort of head down and just having fun. Having fun playing with all this stuff. It almost is almost like coral reefy, like almost. Oh, I did have another one of these ones. I think I'll stick it. I'll put one here. And one, I don't know. Am I being too predictable to have them all be the same?
But that's so pretty.
I know. So pretty. This is a pretty color. I don't know exactly why it's in here. We don't use it too much, but it's very pretty. I think it's actually really nice in the Hummingbird's head, is the reason that we have that one in here. Alright. Okay, I've got more to do, like up here, there's a pretty blatant bald spot. I think I'll mix this together with my tartan. But I want to get the Hummingbird in. I don't know where I'm going with that. I just grabbed it. I got the. You know what's really cool is to take a picture, and you've got a good angle where you are, but you can see. It's helpful because you can see what you need to do. The picture gives you a view that you don't have, and it.
Also, just stepping away,
Yeah.
looking at it with
Yeah.
some fresh eyes is helpful.
Yeah.